So I recently, just yesterday in fact, surprise inherited a bag full of interesting stuff. N64 games, mostly boxed, some of which used to be mine, others that I was surprised to receive. And it was quite exciting. It's all in this nice bag. So, to start with, and probably most excitingly, a boxed Lylat Wars. So, I've never played Lylat Wars. Well, that's not true. I have played it. I've never owned it. I played it very briefly once or twice at a friend's house. Years ago, I think. I had a little peek inside this last night before going to bed, but I decided I'd sort of save the excitement for myself today, or another time to do this recording and check it out. I guess I don't really know if this counts as an unboxing. Anyway, so I hadn't noticed this before. It's not an issue, but yeah, there's some marks and things on the front. I wonder. I don't even know what they are. In fact, I think that's I understand my friend who gave this to me bought it years ago at a cash generator, and I think this is to do with it including a rumble pack new, which presumably it did not contain when he then bought it. Seems kind of unnecessary to scribble that out when you're selling it in a place like Cash Generator, but there you go, that's what they've done. Let's open it up, see what there is. I don't know why the box is so big. I suppose because it used to contain the rumble pack, but it still seems rather enormous. I'm going to try and take everything out at once if that is possible. Probably not. Oh my goodness. Well, I wasn't expecting that, although I do remember him saying something about that he was going to give me this. Okie doke, well, I'll put that aside for one moment. So, Lylat Wars proper contains, yeah, the game itself, Lylat Wars. It's not very valuable on its own, I don't believe. I've seen it for like $5 in CEX and elsewhere. I'll definitely enjoy playing it. I was recently playing Starwing on the SNES. Again, it's not a game I'm really familiar with, but I quite enjoyed it. Shooters aren't my favourite kinds of games, but there's a bit of history, so yeah, I kind of enjoy playing them for that reason, I suppose. Revisiting in a sense. Now, this is the instruction booklet. Oh god, I just dropped something. It's enormous. And it hasn't been opened for a long time. This was what made me stop opening it last night. I thought, I kind of want to either be very careful opening this or savor its I'm trying to stop myself from using the word deflowering, but there you go. Why this is so large is anyone's guess. When I saw it last night, I actually thought it might be a strategy guide, as I know that some games do come included, have a strategy guide included. Oh, listen to that. Right, I'm not going to overdo it. It's not like it's in perfect condition or anything like that. Anyway, I'm not too worried about that sort of thing right now. So, let's see what game fell out onto the floor. This really could be anything. Right. Yep, Smash Bros. That's cool. Obviously a great game. Needs no introduction really. And not super cheap to get hold of, so I'm really glad to have that. That's great. I was kind of brought up on Melee. I had played the original a bit, but I never owned it. I never really owned a Nintendo 64 for a very long time when I was younger. Mostly played it at other people's houses, so I'm kind of getting deep into the N64. Not for the first time, but I'm spending more time with it now than I really ever did when I was younger. I look forward to playing this. I'm not sure how unfamiliar it will feel because I spent a lot of time on Melee and Brawl and a bit of time on Smash 4. Is that the one on the Wii U? The one on the Wii U anyway. Yeah, I look forward to playing this. Another nice surprise. It's quite heavy. I know nothing about the technology of these things, so I don't know why that would be the case, but it's noticeably heavier. Right, I'll put that to one side. I'm going to replace the instruction booklet, which is enormous, in the box, and the game as well. The scribbled out text on the front, I wonder whether it refers to more than a rumble pack, because it seems that a rumble pack alone wouldn't justify such a large box. But there you go. A bit of a nuisance really to have such a big box. So Majora's Mask. Yeah, amazing. I didn't expect this. This is sort of valuable. I saw it in CEX today for about 50 quid boxed. And it's not cheap. It's not super cheap unboxed either. So that's really nice. The box is in okay condition, I suppose. I mean, I don't really buy boxed N64 games because the boxes are so bulky relative to the games themselves. And I'm not that kind of collector, if I'm even a collector at all. But the inheritance, that makes it seem really shady. This guy just gave me a bunch of stuff who's a good friend of mine. I'll probably give him some money for it, but he seemed reluctant to accept any payment. Lovely. Yeah, the acquisition of a big bag of goodies like this maybe makes me a collector now. Anyway, heavy again, really heavy. I wonder whether it's got something to do with. I mean, this game needs an expansion pack, so it's resource heavy or something. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever. Beautiful gold cartridge, just like the kind of classic Zelda games. I know that the first Zelda and Zelda 2 on the NES had gold cartridges. This looks in really good condition, like the label is pretty pristine, which is really nice compared to the box. It's really nice. Yeah. Instruction booklet. A few folds, that's fine. Yep, there I am devaluing it. Oh. Nice. This video is going to be half an hour long if I don't get a bit of a move on. So I'm going to put that back in its box properly later. Got a few more things to get on with. Mario Kart 64. Again, a game I played a couple times in the past. I've never owned it. The only Mario Kart games I played a lot of were Double Dash on the GameCube, which I had, and to a greater extent Mario Kart DS, which I did a lot. I kind of gutted it. I can't remember. I did a lot of the single player, and I played it online for a bit. I remember practicing snaking and that sort of thing. I was never amazing at it, but yeah, it's not a game I'm super excited about having boxed or anything, unless I decide that I want to keep these for posterity. But then they're not in the best condition. Oh goodness, they're not in the best condition in the world anyway. So what's the point in worrying too much about that? Oh, there we have it. Mario Kart 64. There is an instruction booklet in there as well. But beat up. Nice, it's a bit grubby, but there it is. I will probably play this. I mean, I will play it. I will play them all, but something like Majora's Mask gives me a bit more pause because it's already a little bit valuable. Not that playing it will do any damage, I expect, but yeah, it just makes me think maybe that should go in a shoebox somewhere. Yep, okie doke. Ocarina of Time, brilliant. I've already got it. I've already got the game, but yeah, lots of boxed stuff. Don't really know where I'm going to put this stuff. Ocarina of Time is definitely one of my favourite games. That should surprise no one. It's a common sentiment. Kind of an odd looking box. Very antique-y looking. I don't really know what I mean by that. Have ye got what it takes? Cheesy. Yeah, the black and gold is kind of interesting looking. The reason I'm not keen on boxed N64 games is the same reason I probably wasn't keen on them and Game Boy games back in the day. They just get beaten up so easily, and I think I would more often than not just throw them out because they're so large compared to the games themselves, and they're so hard to keep in good condition. I'm concerned about that not because I was interested at a young age in keeping things in good condition for investment or anything like that, but because just it's scrappy, it's just annoying. These things that just like get dog-eared and anyway, who cares about that? Lastly, of the boxed games, Super Mario 64. Box is pretty beat up. I'm gonna have to think of. Well, I'd like to know the smart ways of removing stickers and things like that. That was fine, obviously. Yeah, Mario Kart 64. So, Super Mario 64. I already have this. I've been playing it a little bit. I love watching Super Mario 64 speedruns and TASes and the like. My experience trying to do speed run type stuff on it is quite frustrating. So I don't play it very well. I try to not let myself get distracted by trying to play in a certain way and just enjoy it. But that's easier said than done when you know what optimal looks like. It can be difficult to just enjoy yourself by exploring the game in the way that Super Mario 64 was probably intended. In a similar way to how I expect people who, actual speedrunners can't play casually once they know the strategies. I think there's an extent to which that is true even for people who have only watched speedruns. You know what you want your play to look like, and it's difficult to avoid. It's difficult to resist the temptation to try and fly all over the place, of which I am completely incapable. Right, moving on. Goldeneye 64. Goldeneye, yeah, Goldeneye. I actually already have this. So this was a game that I sold to this friend of mine years ago with the N64, which I also inherited back again recently. And I was disappointed to discover when I bought it again recently that I hate it. I've never been a big first-person shooter guy, but I have played them and enjoyed them in the past. And I thought I would enjoy this because, yep, I've enjoyed watching some speedrun stuff related to the game. But I don't enjoy playing it. I'm very bad at it. And yeah, I just really don't enjoy it at all. And I thought that like the history of it being kind of one of the first modern first-person shooters would sustain my appreciation or enjoyment of it, but that hasn't been the case so far. So I don't know really what I'll do with a spare copy. I suppose I'll pass it on somehow. There you have it. Snowboard Kids, another game that I sold to this friend of mine. Another game that I have since bought. In the last couple months. After I got the N64 back, but before I got these games back. I really like this game. I never had a memory card or controller pack rather, for the N64 when I was younger. So, and this game requires it to save. So I always kind of just played it short settings and then just, enjoyed doing the races. And that was that. Now, I got a controller pack recently, so I was kind of playing it properly. And it's actually really short, so there wasn't a lot to discover. About 3 extra tracks, I think, that you can unlock by progressing compared to the original 5, maybe 6, 4 to 6 tracks that are initially available. So I didn't miss out a lot by not having a controller pack when I was younger, but I enjoyed replaying this and kind of finishing it, if you want to say. I mean, I didn't do all of the challenge stages, but yeah, I really enjoyed playing it. Great music, nice mechanics. I'd like to play it multiplayer. I think that'd be really fun. It's got a nice balance of skill and kind of cheapness. Mario Kart-esque. Weapons that only people in last place can find and use, so that leads change a lot in games. You can be in first place and then get blue shelled, which is fun. I like that. Right, Banjo Kazooie. Yep, another game that I sold to my friend a long time ago with the N64. I have bought it again since. So this is a spare copy. Yeah, it's it's not hard to come by or anything like that. It's good. It's a great game. I was playing it a lot a couple months ago. I got to the end. I did Grunty's quiz, and then I kind of stopped. Again, I'll need to pick it up and just do the last wee bit. It's a great game, good music. Well designed, really great script, really funny. Not a game I have a great attachment to, but I would like to play Banjo Kazooie, which is a bit harder to get a hold of. Well, it's not uncommon, but it's a bit more expensive. Yeah, Banjo Kazooie. Pokemon Stadium 2, another heavy cartridge. Yeah, oh, it's dirty. So, yeah, I'd like to learn how to clean this stuff in general. I think that'd be, I'd like to think that would be satisfying. But I might just be fooling myself. I really like that foil label. I say foil, holographic. I don't know how you describe that. I think holographic is not quite accurate. But I really like the gold and silver thing. Gold and silver was... I was late to Pokemon Red and Blue. I was late to get a Game Boy. It had already been out for a while by the time I was playing it, although I was really interested in Pokemon before I owned it. I think I borrowed friends' copies of it actually and borrowed their Game Boy, so I probably played it a bit before I had my own copy. But Pokemon Gold and Silver, I actually had an American copy of Pokemon Gold, which I might still own. An American copy of Pokemon Gold. It was an import, so I actually had it before it arrived in the UK. So that was the first one that I was really kind of had my finger on the pulse for. I was playing it at the same time that it was new and popular and exciting. And so I think Gold and Silver, there's something about that generation that is, nostalgic, obviously, but there's something about it. I'll maybe think about that and talk about that another time, but I really like the Gold and Silver on it. There's something nice about the fact that it is ostensibly the Gold and Silver Pokemon Stadium, but Pokemon Stadium 2, there's something intriguing about that mix of naming convention, not trying to be pretentious, but the naming conventions for these things is faintly interesting. I'd like to say that that's maybe part of the reason why something like Kingdom Hearts is so amusing, with its sequel and prequel naming conventions, if you can say it has any convention at all. Pokemon Stadium 2, great game. As I remember, when we were younger, no one actually played the proper game. They just played the mini games. I've literally never played the kind of campaign of Pokemon Stadium or Pokemon Stadium 2. Just the kind of quick battle feature and the mini games. So I'd like to explore that. It'd be nice. I like Pokemon. I like Pokemon a lot, and I like trying to play it well. Yeah, Pokemon Stadium 2. That's all the N64 games, but one, two. No, I've never seen before. 3 N64 controllers. Quite dirty feeling. Now, the only thing I'm really familiar with in N64 controllers, in terms of how good they are, is, of course, the joystick, which I'm trying to wiggle there, but it seems okay-ish. It's not too bad. So, quite responsive, quite, rigid feeling. Springy in a good way. Can't argue with grey. This big weird thing on it. I remember some of them having it, but I don't think any of my other controllers have this. I now have 4, maybe 5 controllers. I already had 4 or 5 controllers. Now I have lots and lots of spares, so I'm going to have to do something with these. I will probably pass them on, which seems a bit of a shame to do that with, what is essentially a gift. But one man can only have so many Nintendo 64 controllers. This is quite interesting, but it's also absolutely filthy. Pretty minging. And the joystick, it's not that bad, but it's not great. It's not better than I think any of the other controllers I have. So if I were keeping this, it would probably be out of a sense of either obligation to not just sell a gift. It's got hair on as well. Perhaps a mistaken sense that it would be valuable. Again, I don't really know what these things are for. I don't know where they come from. They don't all have them by any means, I don't think. Or, yeah, I don't know, just hoarding instinct, which I seem to have developed. God, this video is long. And blue. I remember, I think I've had this controller on, I think this was one of the controllers oh God, it feels horrible. All dry. You know, I was about to say this must be the controller that I had when I sold it to my friend a long time ago. But I remember having something against blue controllers because every single one I had ever played was really badly worn. Like I kind of just had this prejudice against blue controllers, with the idea being that blue controllers had dodgy joysticks. Now this one actually feels pretty good. Maybe it's not as good as the grey one, but it's good. So I don't think it's maybe hard to tell until you play it though. Some of it's really obvious, but you might be surprised. I can feel, you know, you press it all the way, and then there's kind of another. Let's turn it away. There's kind of another lurch that it will make. I don't know if you can see that. All the way, and then you can see that the ball there, like a shoulder, it's kind of all the way, and then it pushes again. There we go. That to me is not very encouraging, but I think it only happens in certain directions. So yeah, 3 extra controllers. Might need a clean. Some of them I might just pass on. I already have a very old grey controller that is, well, very old, but very poor condition grey controller that I will be selling. So I'm going to start prioritising the ones I keep. But as I see it, functioning N64 controllers without replaced joysticks, something which I actually couldn't recognise myself, and maybe isn't obviously recognisable. Yeah, there's only so many of them, you know, they degrade so easily compared to other controllers that maybe it's worth hanging on to these things for posterity. Then again, maybe it's worth circulating them for future generations' enjoyment. Lastly, and least interestingly, is a game that I apparently lent to my friend years and years and years ago. It's another game that I have since bought again, and yeah, I hate it. I mean, I consider myself someone who would really enjoy a game considered to be an art game, but my attempt to enjoy it on I want to say kind of just experiential level, although that sounds like the wrong term to use to me. I wanted to just enjoy it quietly, gently, in a kind of speculative way, but I couldn't ignore what I felt to be kind of obtuse, frustrating gameplay. It doesn't feel to me like a game that shirks or subverts gameplay in this kind of competitive or success dependent way. It just is a kind of ordinary game that also happens to be quite beautiful, but I might return to it, and I did complete it years ago when I played it first, but in my experience of it, its prettiness and its really nice atmosphere hasn't made up for the frustration I feel when playing it. But there you have it, Ico. It's the reissue, obviously. Really beautiful cover. I mean, obviously, that really appealed to me when this reissue came out. And it's that image that I had in my head when I imagined what playing this game would be like. And it sometimes feels like that looks. But yeah, overwhelmingly the feeling of playing it was more like playing a slightly frustrating Zelda knockoff. I know that's probably really derogatory. The more I talk about it, the more I feel like I ought to give it a second chance. But I struggled before. I now have 2 copies. So, we'll see. And an RGB cable, or whatever that's called. So that's the bag of goodies. I didn't have as much interesting to say about these games in particular, but it seemed that my first of, some videos, perhaps, it seemed like a really nice way just to actually explore what I'd actually gotten in this bag. That was not me opening it for the first time and looking in it, but it's the first time I took everything out and really inspected it. I had no idea that Majora's Mask was in there, although I had remarked to myself that it wasn't in the bag when I looked before, because I faintly remembered him saying something about Majora's Mask. Anyway, yeah, that was quite exciting for me. Maybe I'll have more of substance to say about other stuff, and with greater brevity, hopefully.